Hi everyone, and welcome to the Velvet Lounge. Yes, I am doing this in comic mode. Why? Because we need a laugh. The world is so full of bullcrap, conjecture, and things that will try to keep you down that on occasion you just need to have fun. I try to have fun often. Ask my child, ask my husband. They'll tell you, yeah. So, the reason I'm making this video today is just to go over a few things that I learned 2 or 3 days ago. And I heard rumors about this, but I wasn't sure. As you can see by the title, Cutting to the Chase, it's about eBay and PayPal laying off approximately 2,000, maybe more, employees. And that is across all of their locations. They have location, and I do have my notes here. I'm doing my newswoman thing. But they do they're a global organization, as we know. Came a long way from selling Beanie Babies. But, and because it's a worldwide organization, most of their locations will be impacted, not just those in the United States, but India, for example, has laid off some people, and Israel will be laying people in Israel. Yes, they have eBay employees in Israel. They will be laying off people shortly as well. Down below, I put some of my news sources. So if you want to, click on those to get more details and information. It's kind of ironic if you think about it. You'd think that all of the American stations would be like covering this because eBay, in their battle with Amazon and of course trying to compete, which I don't think they can really 100% fully compete with something like a Walmart. Those are really top 3 retailers, so you would think that there would be a lot more information out there about this, but there isn't. I know that some people have noticed that there have been some performance issues, I would say over the last 2 weeks or so. Like some people are just saying they started in the last couple of days. I've noticed them over the last, I would say 2.5 weeks. I have no idea, obviously, if that has anything to do with what they're calling a reorganization. But I wouldn't be surprised because they're probably not, obviously, doing as many updates or patches or repairs. I hate workarounds, but tech companies, behind the scenes, you'd be surprised by how much of everything is kept going with these long drawn out workarounds that are error prone. But, so that's something that they're going through, and these are, being titled as the worst layoffs that they've ever had. And for companies, it's considered to be one of the worst layoffs for a company in 2018. So those tax cuts, obviously for the large corporations, I have no idea what they're doing with that money, but obviously it's not investing in the staff, and attempting to, keep things rolling. And I do believe in, if you have low performing staff members, managers, directors, team leaders, vice presidents, whoever these people are, HR, needs to do their job, because then you could possibly avoid laying people off. If you are continuously going through performance reviews and putting people on plans, not to get them out the door, but to see if they have the ability to really do the job. And then that way, at least you get rid of your, low performers, and the people who are the better performers are still on staff. However, that doesn't mean that they might avoid being laid off also, but it does help you avoid laying off good staff members. But I have no idea what the plan is at eBay or at PayPal, and we all know that PayPal is a separate company. It used to be part of eBay. It was, as far as I'm concerned, the backbone heart of eBay, because if you can't collect money, it's like, hello, in this type of business, there's no way you'd have a business. But anyway, as we know, they spun out on as a separate company or entity. And of course, eBay, we all have heard over, I want to say it's been like 3-4 years. I even received something to like test their payment processing whenever it comes through, to be one of their like background testers. So we'll see how that goes. But they are going to have their own in-house proprietary payment processing. My assumption is similar. Obviously, it'll have some similarities to PayPal, but it can't be similar. So it's supposed to help lower the fees that we pay for having payments processed, as well as, obviously, for their organization, having it in-house. They don't have to farm it out. And my assumption is they should have some sort of perfected plan, as they must know all the inside secrets of PayPal, since they used to own it, and it used to be, like I said, a heartbeat in the company. So they know how to, go through, make any updates, corrections, modernizations, whatever that is, so they can have a streamlined process that won't require 1,000 employees to take care of it. So it should be a win-win for everyone except PayPal, ergo layoffs at PayPal. It's thought that some of these layoffs are in relation, and this is just me going off of speculation. I'm going to even say rumors and some conjecture out there, but the thought is, with some of the changes that they're making at eBay, obviously they will not need as many employees at eBay. So, and if you think about it, when you have returns, for example, I know I used to call, and I never really had tons of returns ever. I want to say, since I've been doing eBay, I've had, literally, I'm telling you, I must have had less than 8 returns that I can even, I think 8 is probably an inflated number even, but I'll just go with 8 because it sounds good, and it's 2 round circles on top of each other. But anyway, but the times that, I've actually had returns previous to this year, what I would do is actually call eBay and try to work the best plan, to get through it, if it was something that I totally did not agree with. I've actually opened returns on myself because I sent the wrong item to like, I actually one time I had 2 items. I sent one to one person, the other to the other person. They were each other's items. They got crisscrossed. So, if you use their service now, what happens kind of is like the human element is taken out of it, as it is in many businesses where they're removing human elements where they can and automating everything that they can. So, there's something to be said about progress, but it also, creates people who will require jobs somewhere. I don't know where, but somewhere. But anyway, so like now a person can simply claim an item is not as described. The moment they claim that, there's nothing really you can do. They're going to get their money back as long as they return the item. If they don't return the item, they get nothing back. I recently had a return situation where the guy literally basically confessed to removing the memory cards because that's all he wanted, and he opened up an item not as described, but in the item not as described, he claimed that I think one of the laptops didn't work or something, but the thing is he never returned the laptop, so automatically, without any human intervention, the case was closed. I got to keep the money, and he never returned the laptops. So, there was no person required. I didn't even have to do anything. So that kind of shows you the future and where it's going. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the locations out there were also closed down because, I mean, I don't understand, honestly, why they have so many locations. I never understood that. I understand needing to expand and to be in several countries, but eBay is in more countries than you probably realize. The number of employees that eBay has, and this is just eBay, is approximately 14,000. So, you know, you have other online retailers that do not have 14,000 employees. However, they're not as large or as popular as eBay. For example, obviously Amazon is larger, so that's a different boat within itself. But, you know, some people do compare Amazon to like Bonanza or Poshmark or, I'm trying to think of, there's like this one other one that, is, I won't even name it because it's kind of, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I don't use it myself personally, but I do hear people who love it and I hear people who hate it. But unlike those companies, which are definitely smaller than eBay, you know, they just don't have, their staffs are not as large. And hopefully they keep it that way. Because if you don't need 14,000 people, why did you hire 14,000 people in the first place? The other thing I could tell you, which I noticed, because I used to be a stockholder, and I am not. I actually switched all of my stocks to another company, and eBay stock has been steadily, like, not like huge chunks of money, but it definitely has been falling. Today, I think the value is just over $36, like $36 and some change. So you want to keep an eye out on that. If you are, you know, holding any stock in eBay, it doesn't mean that you should dump it all and run, because their next generation, which is what I'm actually calling this, may be something where you wish you had held on. $36 for a share really isn't expensive. So, I mean, if I was you, I probably would still hold out, but I am not a stockbroker or specialist licensed in dealing with stocks and bonds in any way. I just know what I do for myself. So it's my own personal, you know, what I do. Yeah, some of the I'm looking at my notes here. Some of the problems with like the Seller's Hub, are, some of them are not brand new, but then some of them are just happening a lot more often. So make sure you pay attention to your statistics. If, you know, look at your return, like, and this is like where you're looking at your, like, ratings, like how many like, are you loading your, which you shouldn't have to do manually, it happens automatically now, yay, is adding your tracking information. Some people have found that, they're getting like these crazy numbers that state that they have not uploaded tracking in, you know, the specified amount of time that they're supposed to. So they're finding that their seller rating is going down. So you want to check, like I said, any of those numbers. I would definitely, which to me, and please, if you have any suggestions, leave them below. To me, and it's just because it's my own personal thing, but I have a lot of sales, so I really, and I can't say, did I say really? Really hate having to look at each teeny tiny line item and hope that the percentage that I'm paying eBay is correct, that they're automatically taking. Obviously, I can see how much my store subscription is because it's one chunk of money, and it only comes out once a month. But when you're making like dozens or hundreds or thousands of sales, you need to look, you know, with all these hub problems, I wouldn't be surprised if there were not invoice problems as well. So pay attention to how much you're being charged. Obviously, I haven't heard of any issues with PayPal. I have to tell you, PayPal is probably one of my favorite companies to deal with. I've never, so far, knock on real wood, and our sort of, I won't even say what I was going to say. But anyway, I've never had an issue with PayPal at all, so I'm hoping it stays that way. But just being proactive, you should definitely make sure you check your PayPal fees to make sure those are correct and there's no issues there, and that payments are actually getting posted. Obviously, and it's not obvious to everyone, but you can sign up for notifications. If you go to like the eBay page, and you'll see your name. Under your name, you could click on that and go to your account information. And there's a section, I'm not looking at this right now, but there's a section that talks about notifications. You go there and you could click, and there's a ridiculous number of notifications you can receive. But if you want to receive a notification now that they're having issues, just to double check for a few months or so, to make sure that all your payments are being posted, you can click there, and every time someone sends you money, you'll receive an email, and then you'll receive in that email, it'll tell you how much they sent you, and that'll be your trigger to look at eBay as well as PayPal to make sure your numbers are correct. And I'm just saying this because if the seller hub percentages for performance are an issue, how could anything could possibly happen? So it's just erring on the side of being proactive, because the thing that I've told a few people who I was talking to about this, and I had a couple folks who follow me, as well as people who are just out in the world that I talk to, a couple times a week or more or whatever, is they're like, oh, what are we going to do, and this and that, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And my thing is first of all, count to 5, count to 20, count to 100, whatever your number is. And then think about planning proactively, which I gave you a couple tips as to what you can do today or tomorrow. The other thing you want to do, which you honestly, if you're doing this as for a living, as a job, or if it's a hardcore supplement to your family's income, then what you should have been doing already is diversifying where you sell. So, unlike other people who are going to say, put down in the comments, what you're doing, what you're going to do, so I can steal all of your ideas and then put them out there as my own. I will tell you some of the things that I've always done. This is nothing new. I've been doing this for many years, and for me, it's, and I'm honest, it's not to make a living, but I do help supplement my family's income, because the money I make, I don't just run out and spend it, so it does get saved, invested, whatever, but it's not if it's not there, or if I do nothing for months, or whenever, it's not anything that will make a difference to our lifestyle. It just helps improve and enhance our lifestyle, which is great. But what you want to do, especially if this is, like I said, a supplement to your a hard supplement to your family's income, or it's your way of making a living, is, as quickly as you can, but also use good judgment and research. There are Facebook groups where you can sell items. I would definitely look into joining, I would say at least 8 to 12 of those. And the reason I say 8 to 12 is, I don't know. I just think the thing is, you have to manage it. So that's the thing that most people don't want to do. But if you're decent at managing it, for example, if you specialize in coins, there are hundreds of coin groups out there that you can sell your coins in. You don't want to join and then suddenly bombard them with 5,000 coins you're selling. You kind of want to introduce yourself. You want them to get to know you. There's nothing wrong with making a purchase or two. Obviously, you need to be 100% honest. Otherwise, you're committing a theft if you put something out there for sale and you don't send it, but you steal the person's money. So if you're not going to do it the right way, don't do it. But Facebook groups, I think, are excellent because they actually can target your products to the people who are actually interested versus just plopping them out on a website and hoping someone sees it. Another thing is, and I don't do this, I do have a website, but I don't want people to go there to buy and sell from me. I sort of like the policing and the third-partiness of knowing, I'm just going to say, for example, an eBay is there as sort of like a security guard, if you will, versus me putting things on my own website and having to deal with all the customer service and, I don't know. I just feel like it's better. It's just me. But anyway, some people do have their own websites, especially if they specialize in something. And that can be helpful for people for diversification, as well as I always said, we have a black book. You can start your own blue book, your purple book, your black book. And in that book, I have thousands of people and organizations who over the years I've deemed worthy enough to go into our black book. I don't put everyone in our black book. We're very picky. The book is, I'm going to say it's like maybe 3 inches thick. And it is stuffed. It is stuffed. And it's stuffed with people, organizations, and some of these organizations, they're museums. We just sold a couple items to 2 different museums over the last couple of months. They're other businesses. They're, like I said, private collectors, private dealers. We own part of our business is an auction business. So I have very specific people who are looking not just for low-hanging, one-time, one-off fruit, and they're also willing to pay more. So it's not someone who I'm going to find a $15 item and call them. They want me to call if I have the $250 item. Those are the type of people that are in this book. And I will say the hardest thing about the black book is keeping in contact with people. So that's something that I'm looking to improve. And I have like 2 or 3 I came up with the simplest but most effective idea that I could come up with for keeping in contact with these people. Some of them, there's how can I say this? They are lucrative enough for us to see we'll do face-to-face lunches or dinners. We are operating as if we are a mini corporation. We're not a mini corporation. It's just the mentality that we have. I think that even if you're doing this as a hobby, you should still have that same mentality. And the reason why is your name is associated with it. In my world, I have a degree in business management, so I just automatically go to that mode. So, there's nothing wrong with running your hobby or your family's business that way if you want to be successful and have a minimal amount of issues, keep in contact with your, more lucrative clients, etc. So, I suggest that everyone, get into, some people will call it the local market. The local market is a very loose term, which can mean anything from tag sales to flea markets where you're hoping to make $100. We don't hope to, and I don't mean to sound snooty or snotty or anything like that. I really don't. But you want to use your hours, and hopefully it's not even hours. Hopefully it's hours. Hopefully it's a few hours, making hundreds or thousands of dollars. So, when I talk about the black book, like I said, it's not the same as the quote unquote local market of going around to tag sales and stuff like that. This is something that's on a higher level, but anyone can do it. Anyone. It just takes your business to the next level. The other thing I suggest is, if I don't sell, right now, I can't say I don't sell clothes. We have like 2 clothing items listed. 2. I rarely ever deal in clothing or footwear. Will do accessories. It depends upon what they are and the value. But obviously the majority of the items sold on eBay, their number one seller is clothing. Men, women, children, whatever that is, used clothing. So it's not just new clothing, but it's new and used. As well as, obviously, if you're selling on Poshmark, guess what they specialize in? Clothing. That's what they do. And obviously, if you go to other places like Etsy, etc., you'll also find clothing. So I suggest that if you are in the clothing market, you need to now definitely look at where other people are selling clothes. But you want to look at places where it's a top selling market. So if you find a website and you're like, oh, but there's not that many sales there. It doesn't seem as if they have that many sellers. It could be a good, from the ground in sort of thing. If it's brand new and you want to get in at the ground level and, ride the wave until they hopefully one day become incredibly popular, if that ever happens. But there are some tried and true websites out there that you can go to now, and you could right this moment, upload the app, get it on your laptop, and within, I'm going to say, like 15 minutes, you can have a Poshmark store. Like, it's really simple. But the thing is, some of your things can sit there for a while because your Gloria Vanderbilt 1980s ladies blouse, floral pattern, whatever it is, new old stock is better than used old stock, obviously. So, that could be a variation for you that actually will make you more and have your items sell quicker. But if you go out there and you see if they have 100 of that shirt or thousands of it, then it's something that may never sell or may take years to sell. So you have to sort of be looking out to the future and understanding nothing is perfect. Look at the world. Look at the United States right now. Nothing is perfect. It's never been perfect. Ever. Especially after 1492, I believe it was. So, you just want to go through that and look at those ideas. There are some people who, I was talking to locally, and they were talking about, oh, I'm probably going to pull my stuff and, try putting it in some consignment shops, and that's fine. But the thing that they have to realize is consignment shops charge fees, and they can have a fee stacked on top of a fee, and then they will take out taxes for that. So, you can't assume you're going to make as much as you're going to make. So, the other thing is set your expectations so that they are realistic. I always say, go low, because if you end up getting high, like if it gets high for you, listen, if you end up getting high, that's not good. Don't get high. But if you end up taking it, it just like gets high for you as far as your expectations were a little bit lower and everything is turning out 1,000,000 times better or even 20 times better than you thought, then you will be satisfied. You're not setting yourself up for disappointment. The other thing to do, I suggest to people all the time is, we usually do this in early early fall. And the reason I say early is because we live in New England, and in the summer it is hot as Hades here. It is going to feel like 100 and I think they said 10 degrees or something for the next 7 to 10 days. So you don't want to do a tag sale right now. Now, I'm sure some people will, but if you want the most people to come to your tag sale, then these are some, and the reason I'm mentioning tag sale is because it's a great way to get rid of some of your old inventory in one shot. It depends on, you have to have a really good ad so that dealers know that they are welcome and can buy in bulk. That's a huge clue. I would also suggest that you put a phone number. I would use like a cellular phone. You don't want people calling your house 3 months later, but put a cellular phone number in your ad so that if a dealer wants to come and buy everything you have, guess what? Who cares? There's no tag sale that Saturday. You're done. Everything's sold. You're satisfied. People are looking for teeny tiny one-offs. No, I would not. I would have them come the day of the sale. But what you're trying to do is get rid of old stock. So I think with the layoffs and everything and the glitches that they're having at eBay, this is a good time to sort of reorganize yourself, and getting rid of old stock is a way to do that. Especially if it's, what I consider common things not if you have the rare Chanel 1930s ladies suit, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all these t-shirts and jeans and Converse sneakers and Adidas and Nike and whatever they are, where someone could just go to a store and buy it or buy it online directly from those companies. I would say those are the items you have to look at and say, how long have I had these listed? Do I want to keep them out there? If you have a really busy store and you're constantly turning things around, even if they've been listed out there for a really long time, you're okay. You're fine. But this is more for people who, feel like their sales have really slowed down. Like in the summer, our sales haven't slowed down at all. Our sales are consistent and constant throughout the year, but if you look at our videos about what we sell, which is, you could be my competition and sell the same things, you'll see that we're not, we sell things that are probably more like one-off items, because some of them are vintage and some of them are hard to get, or you can't really get them anymore. We do have coins, we have jewelry, but we are specific about the types of jewelry we're willing to sell. So it's not going to be stuff that you would get from like Claire's, for example, etc. You could look at those videos. There's a lot of haul videos out there, as well as what we sold on eBay videos. One of the things I will start probably doing is what we sold from our Black Book videos. Usually I don't do those only because, these are private buyers, so I can state that something went to a museum or it went to a private collector, but I can't state their name. So I'll look into that. I'll see what I can do with that for you in the future. But the real moral of the story is, like I said, don't panic, plan, diversify what you're doing, also reorganize. These two organizations, especially eBay, is going through an entire reorganization situation. Then why shouldn't you? You're not laying anyone off, so that's the huge positive. But you can go through and reorganize your business to, make sure that you're not one of the people left behind when I'm calling it a relaunch. They haven't shut down or anything. There is no plan for them to shut down. The reason I'm calling it a relaunch is because every time after there's a layoff, there's always something that's really different. We already know what some of those things are because eBay has been sending And I don't know if you guys receive all of the notifications that I receive. I know that you don't, but some of us receive, extra, I guess I'll say, notifications because we help beta test as customers, some of their different changes that they make. But regardless of that, everyone who is on eBay, who is a seller, has received information over, it's been a while, where they've been saying that various changes are coming. So I think right now what's happening is they're just preparing for those changes. And unfortunately, in the midst of that, some people are, and I'm going to say some good people and people who probably should have been let go a long time ago are going to lose their job. So I feel really bad for, their good employees around the world that are going to be affected by this. But it's not our company, and unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about it. I know there were a couple people who I spoke to who talked about, boycotting, and I was like, two of those people actually make their living. Like, that's what they do to make a living. So I was like, what will you do as an alternative? And they talked about putting their stuff in antique markets. And I was like, but you have to remember, you have to pay them a fee. And, plus if it's in one, how many people actually go to antique markets now? And you look at the prices on the stuff and you kind of look at it just for research or because it's nice, and you walk out and you buy nothing. So it's just such a hit or miss. Another couple, they talked about doing the flea market circuit, and I call it a circuit because I know people who will have like the husband at one place and the wife at another, and they'll dash back and forth and set up their flea market stands. That is a lot of work. That's a lot of work, which is nothing wrong with physical labor at all. I'm trying to get myself more physical labor. But if you're now cutting off like a major vein of your business, meaning eBay, to protest, you just need to make sure that whatever you decide to replace it with, that it makes sense and that you are going to be able to make a living. Like I said, these two couples, that's what they do to make a living, and they have several years before they'll retire. And then the other person, they're more they're more like supplemental. They supplement their income, but he does have a job, but he does this as like an income supplemental thing. And for him, he has, I think, more options than the other two couples, simply because he doesn't rely on this, for everything. He literally uses the money to go on vacations. If his car breaks down, instead of him going into his regular bank accounts, he actually will use his PayPal account. He has one of those PayPal, I think it's a debit card. I don't have a PayPal debit or credit card because, I don't know, I just don't see why I would need that. We save more than we spend, which is what people should do, and we are not gamblers. We're not wasting our money anywhere. So, but he's not either. I'm just saying, I don't know how those cards, like really, which card he has or how it works for him, but I know that he'll use that to like even pay for groceries and stuff. And that's really smart because it's coming right out of his PayPal account. He doesn't have to touch his other money, and he's working towards retiring in like the next, I think he said 8 to 10 years. And then he wants to move to some southern state and whatever. So he has plans. He to me makes more sense. So you just want to make sure that, you don't do anything that's rash or anything, and, make sure you keep up on your performance as well on eBay. Just because they're having issues, don't let your own performance standards fall. Mail things out on time or whatever you agreed to. Do your customer service, when people have questions. Make sure you're still, doing quality listings so that you have plenty of pictures out there that make sense. The words make sense. The descriptions are accurate as they can be. Your pricing makes sense. Your shipping and handling isn't incredibly overstated. If you do have returns or, negative feedback or whatever it is, make sure you're paying attention to that. And if it's incorrect, get on that phone, call eBay, try to get that taken care of. So I wish everyone luck. I'm sure that, everything will be fine. And if I, hear any more information, I will let you know, what I can tell you anyway. But also, like I said, I'm going to put a couple links down below so that you can go out and read some articles on your own. And also, now that you know this is happening, if you have any information you would like to share with us or any opinion whatsoever, please post that down below. And, if you need suggestions, just put a question there and I'll do my best to answer it. And, happy selling. Reselling, I think, is still fun. I just think it's super fun. I enjoy doing it. I have very few to almost, no issues with it. Whether it's a process or, the thing that I don't like, of course, are paying all the fees, but nobody likes that. But I do think it's fun. Of course, there's always a challenge or a challenger out there, which is fine. That's anywhere in life, regardless of what you're doing. And, there's plenty of inventory out there if you know where to look, to get the better things versus the more common things. So just keep your energy up. Just keep going, encourage each other, and have a good night. I will be posting this video tomorrow. And at that point, I think their layoffs will have happened, I want to say 3 days ago. But anyway, take care and have a good night.